How do I create a pitch email for my startup that works? Imagine this. You're ready to raise money for your startup. You've built a list of investors, but you don't have the warm introductions you need. Sound familiar? I've been there. Today, I'm sharing exactly how I landed investor meetings through cold emails. What works, what doesn't, and the 5 steps to crafting emails that get replies. Oh, and stick around for my one final thought segment. It's important. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. Let's start with the 5 things you shouldn't do when you're sending a cold email to investors. We'll start with mistake number 1. Number 1, your email is a wall of text. Every day, I get emails from CEOs that are literally a bunch of sentences stacked together. For example, here's one I received yesterday. My first reaction when I receive an email like this is, I don't want to read it. I'm sure you've gotten an email just like this too. So you know that when you receive something like this, a blob of text, the last thing that you want to do is read it. In fact, when I get something like this, I either don't respond or I'll delay responding until later. The point is, blobs of text don't get read. The simple remedy is break up your paragraphs. Next, let's move to mistake number 2 on our list. Number 2, your email is too long. Let's go back to the previous blob of text email. Even if it had been formatted correctly, it's way too long. Your pitch email is too long if it's going to take more than 1 minute to read. Here's a simple pro tip. Time yourself reading your email. If it takes more than 1 minute, then you've got to shorten it. Remember, the investors you are trying to contact get hundreds of emails each day. They don't have the time to read your life story. Next, let's move to number 3 on our list. Number 3, you try and sell too hard. What? How can this be? Aren't you supposed to sell me on what you're doing? Here's the thing. There's selling and then there's overselling. For example, if you try and go into too much detail about all the benefits of your product or service, that's selling too much. If you're trying to get someone to invest based on your email, that's selling too hard as well. Remember, the goal of your cold email is just to get a positive response. It's not to get an investment. By the way, that's the same advice for when you pitch investors. You just want to get the next meeting. Next, let's move to mistake number 4 on our list. Number 4, you don't tell me what your company does. It blows my mind how many times someone reaches out to me and doesn't tell me what they do. For example, here's an email I received recently. Brett, my company is formed, product is engineered, developed, and ready for production. We are pre-revenue, but with one customer and another pending that will be revenue generating. We will be in a $4 million funding round before the first of the year. I am interested in further conversation with you. Please contact me at the above email address. Why would an investor respond to something like this? The answer is they will not, because you're making it too difficult for the investor to understand if this is valuable for them. Remember, you've got a short amount of time to make your point. Tell investors what your company does. Next, we get to arguably the biggest mistake you can make. Number 5 on my list. Number 5, you ask for a meeting. Okay, I know this seems wrong because you're supposed to ask to meet with somebody. However, that's too much of an ask at this stage. Let me explain why. You've sent a blind email to someone that doesn't know you. And the most precious resource for an investor is their time. Now, expecting them to give you 30 minutes or an hour of their time when they're already super busy, that's not realistic. Instead, gently ask what the next steps might be. Now that we've explored the wrong way to create a cold email, I'll share the 5 things that make a great cold email. Number one on our list, number 1, you identify the right potential investors to target. Not all investors are created equal. You want an investor that is interested in investing in your space. You want an investor that invests in a company at your stage. And ideally, you want an investor that invests where you live. You can build a list of investors that fit this profile using a tool like Crunchbase.com. Now that you've built your list of investors, let's move on to the email itself with number 2 on my list. Number 2, your email subject line has to be compelling. We want investors to open the email, obviously. I suggest something simple and to the point that tells investors what you are doing and that you're raising money. You can use the format I used, blank investment opportunity. In my case, it was analog IC investment opportunity. If an investor is interested in the space, you have a reasonable chance they will open your email. Next, let's move to number 3 on our list. Number 3, your email can be read in less than 60 seconds. As I said earlier, you want to be the anti of what I explained earlier in the video. You want to make your email easy to read, short and to the point. You don't need to oversell here. Just introduce yourself. Explain what you're doing and what makes you unique. That's it. Don't oversell the deal. Remember, your goal is getting a positive response. Next, let's move to number 4 on our list. Number 4, each sentence has a purpose. Brevity is critical in a cold email. If you can say something in 2 words that you might normally say in 5 words, then reduce the sentence to 2 words. Make paragraphs no longer than 2 sentences and keep your sentences short. An email like this will look inviting to an investor to read, so they will know it will not take much of their time to process. Get the idea? Finally, let's move to number 5 on our list. Number 5, you have the appropriate ask. You can undo everything positive in a well-written email if you ask for too much too soon. Instead, you want your ask not to be too pushy. Something like, please let me know how you would like to proceed is perfect. That gives the investor the control, and they don't feel pushed to have a meeting they don't want to have. So how does all this look in practice? Here's the exact cold email I sent to investors to successfully get investor meetings. Hi, my name is Brett Fox. I am the CEO of Touchstone Semiconductor. Touchstone is a high-performance analog IC company, think Linear and Maxim, that achieves profitability with minimal funding. The founding team, including the design team, are alumni of Maxim. The designers average over 20 years of experience. We have a term sheet from a very good VC on Sand Hill Road, and we are looking for an additional investor. Please let me know how you would like to proceed. Best regards, Brett Fox. Let me walk you through quickly why this worked. In the first paragraph, I quickly introduced myself. In the second paragraph, I explained what we were doing and I addressed the key concern investors in the space had about semiconductor companies. In the third paragraph, I established my credibility and my team's credibility. In the fourth paragraph, I explain where we're at in the investment process and I have my gentle ask. And as I said before, the cold email worked. We were able to get meetings with over 30% of the investors I sent this to. Try it. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. One final thought. You don't have to share your pitch deck in a cold email. This is a judgment call, but I never shared my pitch deck unless an investor asked for it. I can understand if you want to share the deck. However, make sure your deck is really good if you do share it, and that it uses a format that investors are used to, like my startup pitch deck template. Now, what's the biggest challenge you face when writing cold emails? Let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to help. Now, I have two more things for you today. The first thing is my free startup pitch deck template. Just like I said, it has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Click the link below today's video and it's yours for free. The second thing is, if you haven't already, join my free group of startup CEOs, Zero to Pitch. It is a community for startup CEOs focusing on growing their early stage startups and startup CEOs raising money for their early stage startups. Click the link below this video to join. Finally, click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.